morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you've had a good time. I will do a short introduction. So I'm Kelly and I work for Origin Amenity Solutions. I am actually the technical and research lead for the group. My job is amazing. I love it. I think I've got the best job in the world. I get to travel the country advising on how we can grow grass better, or grass, depending where you come from. And I love it. One of my big ambitions is to find sustainable, responsible management of our environments and to make best use of the products that we apply. So I love looking at research. I love a problem. I love disease. I love everything that you hate, I love, because I can find a solution for them issues that you have. So if you do have any ideas at the end of this, please come and find me outside, and we can start to build research projects around the problems that we face. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation on some of the R&D projects that we've done at Origin. We have got our own research facility, so we've got a site down in Essex where we've got some sports turf, we've got some fine turf, we've got a glass house that we've just spent £1 million on to do trials in controlled environments where we can control the temperature, we can control shade, and full automated irrigation systems. So we've got quite a big facility down there, but we also do trials out in the field. So we work with quite a lot of football clubs and golf courses around the UK to look at different problems. So for example, at the moment we've got 15 trials around the UK on dollar spot, and it's trying to find ways to manage it better and cost effective as well. So a little bit of an agenda for today's presentation. We're going to look at using wetting agents for growing and establishment, and also beyond that, how often should we use wetting agents? Should we carry on using them all year round? And we're going to look at winter fertilisers. What's the best nitrogen source to choose during them winter months when the temperatures go cold and you are trying to grow grass in an environment that grass doesn't really want to grow in? Nitrogen use efficiency. In agriculture, we have lots of issues around nitrogen use. We've just seen restrictions in the UK come in on using urea, straight urea. We have to have inhibitors. So what can we do to make sure that we get the best from the products that we apply, that best use practice? And then looking at stress guard technology and the use of Primo. I think for sports turf, especially for football, Primo is absolutely banging. It's a great product to use to help in maintaining and producing a really good performing pitch. So benefits of wetting agents. Who uses a wetting agent? Yeah? Wetting agents? Yeah? Why? Why do you use a wetting agent? Come on, Rob, you always answer a question. Come on. Why do you use a wetting agent? Hold on to moisture. Anything else? Anybody else got some insight on why we use a wetting agent? Moisture management. Anything else? Establishment. What does seed need to grow? Water. It's got lots of energy inside its shell already, but seed needs moisture to grow. We need to use less water. Yeah? We should be responsible for our sites that we maintain. How many people have got sand pitches in this room? Quite a lot of people. You use huge amounts of water, and it's going to get tighter and tighter, the amount of water that we can use. So thinking about how much water we put on, looking at all the trial work that we've done and other companies, you can see a reduction of water use by 25 to 40% by using a wetting agent. That's massive. Okay, it's going to get more expensive and it's a very valuable resource, so we need to think about that. So we did a trial at Throws where we started to look at grow-ins. I always love a challenge, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine to say, right, I've got 3 weeks to grow my pitch in. From the moment the seed goes in the ground to the first game, 3 weeks. What can we do to establish that turf and make it safe to play on and appear great? It didn't play well, bear in mind, but it was green. So we started to look at using granular wetting agents. Now, for me, wetting agents are really important for moisture management to help to reduce surface tension in that upper canopy, to allow water to move through that profile properly rather than sitting at the crown. That can cause disease. We know that grey leaf spot, we know that other diseases will always be that humid, moist environment which we create quite happily and quite easily in a stadium environment. So we were starting to look at this use of granular wetting agents, and we wanted to look at low irrigation. Low irrigation we'd never use anyway because water's really important, medium irrigation and high levels of irrigation. And we started to look at how quickly it established, how quickly it germinated, and the quality of that grass. So these were all done in pots, throws in the greenhouse, all randomised, replicated trial work to see if we can see some consistencies in the data results. So we took the low irrigation. Now, when we see this, we see statistical differences in the amount of germination and establishment we got from the turf. But in the low irrigation pots, when we actually look at the pots, it still isn't acceptable. You wouldn't want that, would you, after 3 weeks on your pitches, okay? But you can see a massive difference between where we've applied the granular wetting agent and where we haven't applied it. If you see the picture on the left where we haven't applied the granule, that sand looks quite dusty, doesn't it? It's really, really dry. You could see when you applied the water to the top of that surface that it didn't go in very well. It took longer to percolate through that. And obviously we can see that that turf quality isn't great. Where we did see the big differences with the granular wetting agent is when we started to look at that medium level of irrigation. So we can see here statistical differences. The top line is the treated. So that's where we've applied the granular wetting agent. The blue line is without treatment. And we have a look at the picture, we can see real differences coming in now. So where we can see on the right hand side, that's the granular application applied, that turf quality was really good with medium levels of irrigation. Now, you're never going to apply medium levels of irrigation, are you? Yeah, you're going to make sure that that establishes. But what if your irrigation system fails? What if the water companies turn down the pressure and your pump houses aren't filling up enough, your storage tanks aren't filling up enough? These are definitely an insurance to make sure that that seed germinates properly. Now, once you put high levels of irrigation on, didn't really make a difference because we know that with lots and lots of water, you're going to get that germination and that establishment. For me, granular wetting agents are an essential part. We see this year, we've just gone through a huge drought. Yeah? Huge drought. If you put these wetting agents in, you've got that insurance that you're going to keep that moisture. Now, I can remember when I did this trial, going up to Hibs Football Club at the training ground. I think it's Stevie in here. The Hibs training ground, high, isn't it? High up on a hill, very, very windy. The one thing that I noticed with the Tricure granule, they had two pitches next to each other, one treated, one untreated. And that was because of budgets. The one that was treated had been irrigated at exactly the same time. I walked onto the pitch and you could see that the sand was still, wasn't moving. The sand on the other side, where they hadn't put the granular wetting agent, the sand was moving. You could see it. You'd see the sand movement. It was taking some seed with it too. But then we took the moisture readings and the side that was treated with the granular wetting agent, as soon as you started going across the side, 27, 27, 26, 28. Then we went to the other one, 3%, 38%, 17%, because that's what wetting agents do. They give you that consistency, that consistent establishment. We know out there that rectangular piece of turf needs to be consistent, and that's the benefit you get from using wetting agents. It also, because it reduces surface tension, it allows water to move through it more freely. It'll help to reduce washout. And we see this when we're getting 50, 60 mil of rainfall in a day. This will help to reduce that risk of washout because of that reduction in surface tension. We've done some other work, and this is with our partners in the States, Mitchell's, where we started to look at using wetting agents and surface firmness. Okay, really important, yeah? You've got firm surfaces, but you need the moisture there to hold that sand together. We started to look at this is a surfactant that rather than move water horizontally, it helps to move water more vertically, okay? So different surfactants, depending on how we make them, will do different things with water. So we test that in the laboratory to see how the water moves with the different surfactants. So this particular surfactant helps to move water laterally. And we can see here, so we've got soil moisture and we've got surface firmness. We simulated a rainfall event of 50 mil, okay? We had a treated area and an untreated area. And what we saw was the moisture content reduced more quickly over a 24-hour period by using the surfactant technology. But where we saw the big differences was firmness. So if you've got a game on and you've got a 50 mil rainfall event forecast, putting a product down that helps to move water vertically rather than laterally can help to bring that firmness up so your performance is there. So we can see on the graph on the right, surface firmness, we simulated the 50 mil rainfall event, we clegged it beforehand and got that pre-firmness, and then we started to clegg it after straight away, after 25 minutes, after half an hour, after an hour, 2 hours and 24 hours, and within 24 hours the surface firmness was back where it started by using these kinds of technologies. So they can really help during tournaments, they can really help during times where we know that that forecast is a really high rainfall event. Moisture management isn't just about the moisture. Disease, nematode stress. Anybody ever had nematode issues? Parasitic nematodes, yeah. Anybody had issues with grey leaf spot? Leaf spot? All of these diseases are affected by moisture. Keeping soil moisture in the profile as consistent as you possibly can will help to reduce disease. It will help to make your plant less susceptible to plant parasitic nematodes. And I love this little graph because it was produced by Dr. Colin Fleming. You can have really, really high numbers of nematodes, but if your plant is not stressed, it's got the nutrition it needs, it's got the moisture that it needs, it's in a good environment with good oxygenated soils, you will not see the effects of them nematodes, even if them numbers are ridiculous. So making sure you have a really balanced, healthy plant is absolutely key. I think soil moisture is one of the biggest issues we have in our industry because we're growing things in sand. Yeah, it's not a natural environment for that plant to be growing. So we then move on to nutrition, which for me again is absolutely key in producing a healthy surface. We started to look at different nitrogen sources and what time of year we should be using them nitrogen sources. Nitrate is an absolute key product in growing pitches in a winter environment because nitrates are readily available to the plant. So what we did here, again, randomised replicated trial. This was done outside at our research facility in Essex, and we took a product called Rapid Response, which is a nitrate product, and we took urea. We applied exactly the same amount of nitrogen, so that was 4.93 kilos per hectare of nitrogen, and we applied it at the dates you can see at the side. When we started the trial, it was cold, but unfortunately in trials, the environment doesn't always do what you want it to do, and as soon as we put the first treatment down, the soil temperatures increased. As soil temperatures increase, urea then becomes available, not really what we wanted to see, but we carried on with the trial to see what results that we were going to get. So firstly, we looked at clip volume. So we're looking at how much growth we get during that period by applying a nitrate versus a urea product. Unfortunately, we didn't see any statistical differences. We saw the difference against untreated because that had no nitrogen, but against the two treatments, the urea and nitrate, we didn't see any statistical difference in growth. What we did see though was we saw a difference in turf quality. Okay, so where we had applied the nitrates during them colder months, the turf quality was far better than the urea. And you can see from the images, I think this is a really good visual of this product. We can see how much greener, how much denser the sward is. No difference in clip volume, so you're not getting excessive growth. You're not getting out and mowing like absolute crazy. You're just getting consistency, turf density. So looking at products, looking at your fertilisers and saying which has got nitrate in. What am I going to use in the winter months? Find that nitrate element, and that will really help to support the growth and health of the plant during them winter months. For me, we need to be using nitrogen sensibly. We need to use it properly at the right time. So this is, I've got a trial running at the moment. I've got 4 or 5 different trials running on nitrogen sources, on controlled release fertilisers, on different potassium sources, different phosphorus sources, to have a look at how we can apply them nutrients to the plant better. Now this is an initial preliminary result from one of the trials where we're starting to look at nitrogen leachates. And we can see here that you've got an untreated, of course there's not any nitrogen in it because we've not put any in there. And then you've got your controlled release fertiliser, the blue line, the CRF, and then you've got your urea. We can see a huge amount of leachates from urea, which is exactly what we would expect to see. Whereas with the control release, we're not seeing that big amount of leaching. Exactly what we'd expect to see with control release fertilisers. This is where using control release fertilisers in sand profiles is a massive benefit. Because it's not leaching, guess who's having it? The plant you're trying to grow. Okay, so look at the use of controlled release fertilisers, and we'll see this develop over time. We're working at the moment on a resin coated fertiliser. So resin coating rather than polymer coating. Resin coating closes down when it's very wet and cold. So if you've got sports fields, your training ground pitches where you've not got any undersoil heating, you can apply the controlled release fertilisers. As the temperatures drop, you're not going to get leaching. It will close down because the resin coating will close down and only release when the plant needs it, when temperatures increase and the plant needs it to grow. So they're really useful products. We've been working on winter sports growings now for about 6 years. And again, back to the days where you get a phone call saying, mate, I've got to grow a pitch in 3 weeks, what can you do to help me? And we started to look at different types of applications using organic materials to stimulate the microbes in the soils to try and get the plant as healthy and as resistant to diseases as possible, using things like sugars, and biostimulants to improve rooting, to get that good root structure so that the plant can withstand the stresses that are going to come, and looking at the timings. One of the key things for me is making sure what we apply does the job that we want it to do. So one of the very first trials that we did, we looked at how we apply our fertilisers. Now we took lots of different treatments. We took some more traditional treatments, an 8-12-8 preceding fertiliser. We looked at the traditional 20-10-10 that agriculture absolutely loves. And then we looked at a bit more specialised growings where we're looking at organic products and looking at things like mycorrhizal fungi to produce the swards that we want. You can see the numbers on the top, they show statistically significant differences. So everything with an A performed very similarly. And that's the best treatment plan that we found. So that was using different types of growing, but when we applied the nitrogen, we applied it after 10 days. So we waited what we call peri-emergence. So when the grass starts growing and you've got the little bit of purple at the bottom on the ryegrass and a little bit of green leaf at the top, that is your peri-emergence. That can happen in 5 days, it can happen in 7 days. And we waited and applied the nitrogen then. that granular fertiliser. And we had an increase in 46% in clip volume, which means that the plant could take the nitrogen up and utilise it better for growth. That's massive. Massive. All of that nutrition, they received nothing different, them two treatment plants, but we got that much better response from the plant by applying it that 10 days later. So for me, absolutely key when you're looking at your fertiliser programmes and your growings. Don't waste that nitrogen during that first seeding stage. Wait until the plant can actually use it. We've recently started working with, this is with MView, formerly of Bayer, looking at a product called Fiata Stress Guard. We've done quite a bit of trial work on this now. It's a pigment, and within that pigment it's also got some phosphite. We did a trial last year at STRI, and we've got a trial again this year at STRI too. And we're looking at the use of that with trinexapath ethane, so Primo Max, and using it as a companion product. Now, Primo for me, absolutely key in growing a football pitch. And as soon as you are at that 2 to 3 leaf stage, getting that Primo down, lower rates. This year we've seen a few issues because in golf would stop using Primo with heat, whereas with football, we haven't seen that. What we would do is reduce the rate of Primo, not stop it. So using it at maybe 400 ml to 800 ml, rather than using it at the higher rates of 2.5 litres to 3 litres, that will help to reduce that stress on the plant. But with Fiata, we found it to be a really good companion product to Primo without applying more nitrogen. So in your fertiliser programmes, you build your programme with all your nitrogen, with your granules, with your liquids. This does not apply any more N. So you get all of the turf response, really good quality, but without having the issues of applying more nitrogen. But what we found in the trial is we reduced stress to the plant. It was a really good companion product with the Primo. We got really good turf quality. We got better photosynthesis, better chlorophyll production, and because it's got phosphite in, it's not a fungicide, but it helps with that plant defence mechanism. Okay, so this is the trial data that we've got from using Primo and Fiata. We can see here we've got untreated, we've got Fiata at 15 litres, 20 litres, Primo on its own, and we did compare it to the leading pigment, which we would see as Rider, which is a Syngenta product, and then we got the Fiata with the Primo Max. And we can see here, this is a chlorophyll index. This is measured using the chlorophyll meter, done at STRI, that straight away we see an improvement in chlorophyll by using the Fiata, but even more so when we're mixing it with the Primo. And this is a similar data set just to show that improvement with the Primo Max against untreated and against all of the other treatments. We can see real improvement in chlorophyll. So using Primo, somebody said to me, and I like this picture because somebody said to me, on the bottle, on the label, it says true 2-leaf stage. What's that? Now I would say that's true 2-leaf stage. Yeah, we can see that we've got 2 nice leaves coming out. All of the plants are uniform. For me, Primo 2 to 3 leaf stage is really important. It's a really good product. Mowing in every direction you can when you've seeded. Who does that? Everybody? Yeah, every direction you can will really help to tiller that plant. Think about that stress reduction though during especially this year where the temperatures have been really high. Don't keep your Primo applications at 3 litres. I've actually seen some Primo really affect the turf quality this year just because the rates were too high with the temperatures that we've had. And you can put more nitrogen in this if you want. You can apply it with things like nitrates as we've just discussed. But yeah, mow in every direction you possibly can. This year has been exceptional for summer stress. Yeah? How much disease has everybody got? And my phone was going off at 6 o'clock every morning this weekend because there's that much disease about. If you can reduce summer stress, you'll have less stress and disease in the winter, which is, we know winter is challenging enough without then piling disease on top of it. So looking at using things like stress guard technologies, looking at using your fungicides when you need to in a sensible program, good nutrition and good moisture management will help to reduce stress. And I always bring this picture up because it's it was a trial that was carried out by Enview in the States, where they were looking at summer stress and leading into the autumn months. And we can see here that where we applied a fungicide to help reduce summer stress, we had better turf quality during the winter months. So if lots of places can't apply fungicides, but using good moisture, good nutrition management will really help to reduce them stress conditions going into the winter month. And if you can use fungicides, putting them down sensibly now to help you to get into them winter months is a really good idea. So just to kind of review Stress Guard, massive improvement in photosynthesis. Last November in the UK, from the 1st of November to the 19th of November, we had half a day of light on the light index. Half a day. Is that suitable for growing grass? Not at all. So finding ways to improve photosynthesis, improve chlorophyll production is really key to helping and getting that success going through into the winter months. We all know December, January, February are a tricky month with the amount of games that we have. So really trying to make sure we've got a good dense sward, good root system before we go into that period is absolutely key. And we're also using these kind of technologies, pigment technologies, it adds what I would say is a layer of sun cream to the plants. So when you start using your light bars and you've got the lights on constantly over them winter months, applying pigments is that safeguard to reduce the stress, reduce the stress towards that the light bar use. And again, water management. We see an increase in drought stress tolerance, and we also see a reduction in water. So using these technologies, again, layering them approaches to help with water, help with nutrition, and help with stress reduction to reduce disease. So a quick summary, I think I've got a couple of minutes left. Wetting agents, absolutely essential. Everybody should be using a wetting agent and using them all year round. Look at how the technologies work. Do they help to move water consistently, laterally or vertically through that profile? We know that they're going to help to reduce reduce water use. We know we're going to help with firmness of the surface, and they massively help to improve establishment of that seed early. We saw with the granular wetting agents, you got 2 days quicker establishment. 2 days in a 3-week window is massive. So really think about that use of granular wetting agents during growing. Good moisture management will help to reduce stress. It'll help to reduce disease, and it will help you to produce a surface that's less susceptible to plant parasitic nematodes. Make sure you pick the right nitrogen source for the time of year. If it's the winter and you've got no undersoil heating, look at your nitrate-based products. Use control release to make sure that the plant's utilising all the nitrogen you're applying. You don't want to waste money. Yeah, we don't want to inhibit the environment. We've got to be careful about the products that we're applying, and look at things like stress guard technologies or pigment technologies and mix that with your Primo to reduce your nitrogen inputs. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, come on. One question.
Seeing you're putting granular wetting agents, when's the sort of perfect time to put it down?
I would put granular wetting agents down at the time of seeding. So
a few days after seeding?
I'd do it before. With the programme that we've produced over the last few years, we'd put a product like, we use Nature Vigour, so like a soil conditioner, a soil amendment type product. Put that in with your seed, with your granular wetting agent. And you don't want to overdo wetting agents, but you're on sand. So we're doing some work at the moment where we're looking at how long surfactants last in different soil types, because we produced a surfactant. I did some trial work on it. It didn't work in clay, but it worked on sand. So these different types of surfactants are built differently and they perform differently in different soils. Surfactants can layer on top of each other. So if they layer, they'll last longer. So we're doing some work at the moment to really understand how that surfactant works, but that's going to take me about 10 years.
So we use these products anyway, so what I normally do is put the granular wetting agent in maybe a couple of days before the seed busts.
Yeah.
And then spray a wetting agent
Over the top.
Over the seed.
Yeah.
Just so the seed's got that wee bit extra.
But it's really interesting, and to be honest, it's a trial that I'd like to do, because Brentford said the same. I spoke to Tony Stones not long ago, and he said, Kelly, I use the granular wetting agent, it improved my establishment massively, but this year I've decided to spray a wetting agent over the top as well, and it's improved it even more. So a seed has got energy. A seed's got energy to establish, to grow. It needs the nitrogen a little bit later, but it needs water. That is the most important thing. And if you can put a wetting agent on that keeps that surface moister, then your seed's going to have a better chance of establishing and germinating. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the show.